Man, so how can this not affect the politics? Anyone that thinks that is wrong. Then they have to feel terrible. They have to feel terrible that they are dependent on a totalitarian entity like Russia. And worse yet, they have to feel terrible. But they can't afford to say that because they need the natural gas line. And as I said before, this is a monumental project. 750 miles under the Baltic Sea to get to a town called Lubmin in Germany. The International Energy Agency has blamed Russia, contributing to the European gas prices crisis. The prices crisis, right? By cutting supply. Russia is not a good neighbor in that sense, you see. And they won't be a good neighbor because the gas pipeline is a major contributor to their economy. Russia are dependent on the production of the gas. And so if we want to hurt them economically, we should not let this pipeline go on live. We should convince Germany in some way, shape, or form that we will supply them with enough natural gas to avoid opening that pipeline. And then if we're smart, we can continue to supply Europe with natural. Now, we supply actually a lot of natural gas to Europe, about 40% of what they need. So we are in direct competition with Russia. And that's how we could put pressure on Russia to behave. Their economy. Make the people unhappy because they can't get the things that they want, right? Maybe Putin will have a different attitude. Because though he's one of the richest men in the world, because he owns all of this pipeline and the natural gas that Russia's producing. So he's one of the richest, and some people say he's actually the richest man in the world. I don't know that it makes any difference, because when you have that much money, if you're first, second, or third, it really doesn't matter. So the Nord 2 is critical, and at long last, Germany has kind of acquiesced to the fact that it could be threatened, although come out directly and said that. Of course, it's not only Russia that's been affected by the pricing and in dealing with all of these other countries. These countries that are being supplied by Russia are not very happy because the price. In fact, to tell you one other critical thing here, Germany has refused to ship weapons, while the Czech Republic and the U.S. are willing to ship weapons. Germany has refused to do that right now. And that's all. That refusal is directly related to this pipeline. So that situation with the pipelines and the gas has just muddied all the waters around there. But it's critical that we put a lot of pressure on Russia through disrupting their ability to deliver gas that would cripple their economy. So I'll leave you with that this morning. And have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Good morning. It's Wednesday, February 9th. Today's subject is about the Ukaine. It has to do with the pipeline, that Nord 2 is the pipeline. It runs 750 miles through a sea from Russia directly to Germany. It doesn't stop any place else. It hasn't been activated yet. But both the Germans and the Russians did not want to bring this pipeline into the discussion with what's going on in the Ukraine. Russia gets huge amounts of revenue that is generated by their pipeline. In fact, the major pipeline runs right through the Ukraine. So that's a devastating situation for Russia to be in, because the Nord 2 hasn't been opened and it only goes to Germany. But all these other pipelines that are running into Europe, into the European Union. So if this invasion takes place, it wouldn't be beyond the imagination of the Ukrainians to destroy the pipelines. Even though those pipelines provide natural gas to Ukraine as well as Slovakia, Ukrainians could destroy the pipeline, and that would seriously affect the economy of Russia. Now, right now, Russia is in a good situation because they've stacked up a lot of cash and they've been raising their prices on the natural gas. And they've been doing that in a very subtle manner of limiting the supply of natural gas that's going out to the rest. Desperate for that natural gas because many of the countries in Europe have no other way to get the gas. And that has led the United States to think about increasing the amounts of liquefied natural gas that we are sending to Europe. In fact, Biden has talked about that, but he hasn't really threatened Putin with that situation yet. Look, don't screw around with us because we have plenty of natural gas that we could get to these people. Now Russia is dead set against NATO coming. I don't know why that should bother him so much. I guess it's a feeling that was left behind. When Russia was the Soviet Union, they controlled huge portions of that region. Many of the countries there, like Georgia, Belarus, Uzbekistan, Moldavia, Latvia, all of those countries were part of the USSR. And that probably bothers Putin that these countries don't belong to him anymore and to Russia anymore. So this situation in the Ukraine has gotten to a point where they're finally talking about this pipeline, which I think Germany and Russia had an understanding about not mentioning this pipeline during this crisis. And Germany, which doesn't agree with Russia's politics at all, has argued that the pipeline is purely a business enterprise and has nothing to do with the politics, you see. Both Germany and Russia do not want this pipeline to affect the politics of the region. I don't see how that could possibly be the case, since Germany is a democratic nation, Russia is a totalitarian nation.